What's up, folks? How's it going? It's GMO1 here. Hope you guys are enjoying yourselves, your morning, afternoon, or night, whichever part of the world you're in, and welcome back to the channel. And after a few years we've been waiting, it's finally here. Resident Evil Village has finally came out and graced us. Some of you have may played it over the past few weeks or days, some of you may not. For some of you who haven't, you may be wondering if it's worth getting, probably checking reviews, or probably some word of mouth. Just wanted to give my personal thoughts of the review I'm doing right now, and before any of you ask, yes. Reviews and guides are a thing we do on the channel. This is the first one you guys are going to be seeing on the channel and of the entire year, and I will be having a lot more out, I promise you that. But with all that aside, let's see what Ethan Winters has been doing all up in Europe.
Where the hell am I?
A few years after the events of Resident Evil 7, returning character Ethan Winters tries to move on from the past to live a quiet and peaceful life with his family, when unfortunate circumstances happen that leaves his wife Mia killed and his daughter Rosemary kidnapped. This puts him en route to a mysterious village in the mountainous regions of Europe. Unfortunately for him, he's about to be thrusted into another nightmare when he discovers the town is overrun by lichenous monsters and monstrosities. While surviving against the monstrous hordes and journeying deeper into the village, he'll discover clues of the whereabouts of his daughter Rose and piece together the village's dark past, while he's crossing paths with former STARS member, now veteran BSAA member Chris Redfield, whose motives are unknown throughout the entire game, and dealing with the malevolent leader of the village, a deific figure known as Mother Miranda, and her trusted lords that help her govern the region. Now, one thing I have to say about the game that I really enjoy is that it is jaw-dropping gorgeous. I love the inspiration of the environments that this game took for this installment, whereas the 7, they took their cues and their inspiration from the slasher genre of the 70s, namely the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Evil Dead films. Village takes its inspiration straight from the scenes of the Universal monster movies of the 1930s and onwards, from lichens, vampires, ghouls, sea creatures, just weird creations that will make Dr. Frankenstein wet himself. Capcom did one hell of an amazing job creating this Roman Gothic type village in these area locales that I really enjoy. And even when you just look beyond and just see the areas, even before you even get inside of them, you'll know exactly which theme that it tailors to and what enemies you're going to most likely face within. Aside from taking a much more action-oriented route this time going forward, the gameplay in Village is pretty much identical to 7, save for a few much-needed improvements. Ethan now handles and moves a lot better than the previous installment. The aiming has been tweaked to be a lot more precise, so missing your shot shouldn't be that much of a problem now, unless you just happen to be a horrible shot, and of course you will miss. But unfortunately, it is a Resident Evil game, so you will run into enemies that will like shamble and just quickly get out of the way and just dodge your attacks. You can't escape it, it happens. The guard has also been improved to where you can push an enemy away from you after a successful block, give you the much needed space and time to either maneuver past the enemy or to land a few vital shots to take it out. Certain doorways and pathways can now be blocked off via bookshelves to help give yourself some breathing room to cut off enemies approaching you, with also environmental hazards that now lie in the area, such as flowerbacks, which will temporarily blind an enemy to explosive barrels, to which I don't even need to explain what those do. You played enough Resident Evil action games to know what they do. Now, these improvements are going to come in handy because the enemy variety is a huge step up from 7, which is a big plus for me because my one gripe and critique I had with 7 was that, with the exception of the Baker family, which just served as cat and mouse stalker sections that ultimately ended in you participating in a boss fight to kill them all for good, you only fought the motive, which was the main enemy type, and you only fought 3 variants of it, one of which you didn't fight much till like near the end of the game, and you didn't fight that many of them. So the one thing I like about the main enemies in this game is that, like I said, there's more of them and they are a lot more different and a lot more varied and interesting, besides our black moldy friends who are just demonic Power Ranger putties with teeth and claws. Even the main force you fight in 8, which are just the lichens, come in many different forms and they are very, very vastly different and a force to be reckoned with. They hunt in packs, they are very fast, they can ambush you at any turn, they can use any form of weapons from close range to bows and arrows. They're larger versions with more armor plating to even more feral, more beast-like versions that just stalk and attack you. As you kill enemies and explore the village, you'll obtain various items such as Lee, the acting game's currency, treasures and trinkets, and key items that is needed to solve puzzles and to advance further in the game, materials for the improved crafting system, which allows for much more than it did in the previous game, allowing for much more crafting of different ammunition types to hail into random explosives, Crafting materials and key items now take their own dedicated menus, meaning they no longer take space in your main attaché case, so the only thing you need to worry about is just management of your weapons, ammo, and various consumables. And during your travels, you'll encounter the humble merchant of the village called the Duke, or as I like to call him, the Lord of the Thick, which he offers you various services, from taking the current treasure and trinkets you have to give you more Lee, which you can exchange for his various services, pending from giving you different weapons, ammunition, weapon attachments, to even more crafting recipes to make various ammunition for your guns, to even increasing the stats of the weapons, i.e. their damage and their like reload speed and other of their various stats. He can also take the various meats from slain animals that you find around the village and turn them into special dishes, which help to boost your stats permanently, and he offers sound advice every once in a while to help you get through the story if you just happen to be stuck. He's a very interesting character that's tied to the lore and the story of the game, and he's not just a random NPC who's just there to help you out like the RE4 merchant, or just degraded down to a menu such as 5 and 6. Game completion is around 8 to 10 hours depending on your difficulty and player skill. After beating the game, you'll unlock the extra content shop where you can use your points from doing challenges in the game to buy stuff such as extra weapons, infinite ammo, art, 3D rendered character models, and also unlock the Mercenaries mode that finally makes its return since Resident Evil 6. You'll also unlock New Game Plus, where you can carry over all your guns and current equipment over to the next game, and unlock the infamous Village of Shadow difficulty. Similar to Madhouse, it's just a harder version of the game that just has more stronger, aggressive enemies with more health and just remixed enemy waves. Now, while the game is amazing and all, there are a few flaws that I have to point out. They're not really like very big or grueling, they're just like small nitpicks, since I mean there's really not much flaws I can, but only got like really 3 of them. The first being is when you get the game, just make sure you turn off the camera in the aiming accelerations. Pretty much what these do is they just make the camera go a bit more faster, but it creates a delay where you'll move the camera and Ethan will move like a few seconds before. It's kind of jarring, it just throws everything off. So like I said, just turn both of those off whenever you just get the game from the start, and you'll just be fine and everything will move all precise and everything. Second flaw would say, and this is more geared toward my PlayStation 5 players, if you don't want to deal with the adaptive triggers, if you're more of a speedrunner, you just hate the various levels of tension between swapping guns, you can also turn that off as well, and I would highly recommend it. You get used to it, but it can throw off your rhythm sometimes with shooting it, because you have to wait for the trigger stops to reset between like every shot depending on the gun you use, and it can get annoying at points, but it's all personal preference and I'll leave it up to you. Now, the third more addressing issue, which is definitely the more bigger flaw, is that the difficulty balance is definitely all the way jacked up. Now, I've been hearing reports when the game came out that people have recommended to play it on hardcore because people are saying standard's way too easy, and I've been hearing that hardcore is simply way too hard to do on standard. So for me playing the game, I'm gonna tell you right now that standard is the way to go, and even then it's a rough time, even just fresh new game, because in my experience when playing the game, the Moriakas, which are the ghoul type enemies that you face in the game, there are points where I will shoot these guys at point blank range with a shotgun or hit them dead on with a sniper rifle, only for them to shake it off like I just did nothing but sneeze on their asses, just to require a second or a third shot to take them out. It's definitely weirdly balanced, in Capcom they clearly made this game in mind with the New Game Plus and carrying over your guns and powering them up between playthrough to playthrough and unlocking more stuff through the content shop. So like I said, definitely if you get the game, play it on standard, bring everything over to hardcore, and then do VOS. And I highly recommend, unless you were a masochist and you just like to suffer, you're just one hardcore bastard, don't play Vision of Shadows fresh. Just don't. Leave it alone. I'm just gonna leave it at that. Please don't do it. Now for my channel, when I do my review rankings, I don't do number scores. I don't do them at all. They're horrible. Reason being is whenever a number score is involved when it comes to just reviewing anything, people just hone in on that number and just roll with it, and they just completely neglect everything that you had to say throughout the entire review and nothing else. So when my scores for doing reviews and everything is going to be 4 categories, and it's going to be either you just buy it at full price, wait for a sale or a discount, rent or borrow it from a friend, or just avoid it like the plague. And given this game, with, like I said, the minor balancing issues with just enemy health and the difficulty aside, this game is amazing. great atmosphere, great enemies, definitely great horror. Trust me, I left out like a lot of interesting bits and pieces that you're just gonna have to get. You're gonna have to see when the game comes out. Excuse me. But like I said, it's tons of enjoyment. There's a lot of replayability. There's so much stuff you can do, and I'm almost done with the platinum. I just need one more and I'm done. That's how much I really like this game. So my final ranking for it is going to be buy it at full price. You won't be disappointed. Trust me. And that is it, guys. That's the end of the video. Thank you guys for coming through. I hope you found it entertaining and informative. And if you did like the video, please like, comment, definitely share it with all your friends. And please hit the subscribe button and hit the bell for notifications. That way you guys can constantly see more of the content I put out. I will be definitely honored and definitely grateful for your continued support. And also, please stick around for the channel because I have a lot more projects I'm going to do. Review for Returnal, that's going to be coming. I just need to beat it. The game's kind of kicking my ass right now. It's kind of rough. And I'll also be getting more guides out. I'm currently right now recording and working on the Heretic Trophy, which is finding all the 20 goats. And like I said, I got a lot more stuff to look into. Ratchet & Clank's about to come out soon. I want to do some videos and possibly review for that one. We got Guilty Gear coming out, Virtua Fighter 5, which I'm going to be doing some videos with some friends and everything. Hopefully they're down for it. And that's about it. So as always, thank you for joining me. Be safe out there, wear your mask, and as always, take care of yourselves.